Hey, sports porchers, it's your hockey Jesus, and I'm back. It's been a long 3 weeks since we've seen a hockey game, but tonight we're going to finally get to see our first hockey game back after the long and anticipated break of the Olympics. Oh man, unbelievable! Just fantastic. The things that we were that was going on over the last 3 weeks. How about both the men's and the women's, both bringing home the gold from Italy? That hockey was just absolutely incredible. The women's team outscored their opponents 32-2 and still almost lost that gold medal game. Canada gave them a run for their money, no doubt about it. Canada, a worthy adversary, but the U.S. women's Olympic hockey team really had their number over in Milan Cortina, and they brought home the gold. Good for them, especially good for Erin Frankel. She's just an amazing goalie. I mean, to only give up 2 goals in I think it was like 126 shots on goal, incredible, absolutely incredible feat. And the women on the offensive side got it done. Hillary Knight getting that goal, and of course the golden goal. So one other thing regarding the women, I do have to have a special shout out to Ava McNaughton. She is the first, that's right, the very first Pittsburgher to win gold in a Winter Olympics. That's just an incredible feat. I mean, anytime you do something for the first time, she's the first time ever to do it. So congratulations, a special congratulations to Ava McNaughton. She was interviewed today on Mark Madden. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, whether it's on the iHeart app or just on the radio. I'm sure he'll be playing it again, as this is gold medal week for Mark on the radio. Love that guy. Just an excellent interviewer. Fantastic. As far as the men go, hey, let's face it, they got outplayed, okay? But it doesn't matter if you get outplayed, if you got a goalie. And Connor Hellebuck was our goalie, and he did it. He made it happen. Good for him. And the men bring home the gold. What are you going to say? It gives me pride as a USA citizen to say that we won gold in both women's and men's hockey. You know what? I'm not going to bash Canada. Why do it? Because they are great up in Canada. And without them, we wouldn't have had nearly the hockey we had. I think those knockout games were some of the best hockey I've seen in a while. But those other games, not great hockey, just too much levels between the play between the players. But loved every instance of it, except got to talk about it because we're the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hey, by the way, I'm your hockey Jesus. I'm on the sports porch. I do a sports show with my buddies Chris and Mark on Mondays, but I come to you after every single Pittsburgh Penguins game. Today, I'm coming to you before the Pittsburgh Penguins game because it's been 3 weeks and there's some things we got to catch up on. So I will be back tonight after the Pittsburgh Penguins play the New Jersey Devils tonight for a recap of tonight's game. So just so you know, I'm double dutying tonight, but I love it because there's so much to cover. We got to talk about the Sid hit. My goodness, you think you get Gudis out of the Philadelphia Flyers uniform and you send him out to Anaheim, everything's going to be good. You put him on the ice against Sid, and what does he do? He takes out his MCL. Now, the weird thing about this injury is it didn't seem like it was so bad because, Sid was like, yeah, I might play in the semifinal. I might play in the gold medal game. And I don't think he was close to playing. Honestly, I think there's something wrong there. Clearly, because as soon as he got back to Pittsburgh, they said he's out at least 4 weeks. So we're going to have to talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we break out the lineups for tonight. We're going to get to that a little bit later. It's a big problem for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I personally don't think they should go out and try and grab somebody to replace him. You cannot replace Sidney Crosby, okay? You can only replace him with a team effort. That's what it's going to have to happen. But we'll break that down a little bit more. No news on a Geno contract. I'm a little surprised that Dubas didn't announce something. They didn't announce that, maybe they were giving him a 1-year extension. I don't know what that means, but it's still out there. So I thought that would fall out of the fall out of the sky over the last 3 weeks, but it did not. The Pittsburgh Penguins also made a trade. They traded Brent Kulak for Sammy Girard. Now this is kind of a one-for-one trade. Avalanche wanted to dump Girard's salary a little too much at $5 million a year. Pittsburgh can absolutely take it on. That's something like $45 million in on space, on cap space. So they can easily take on him. And you know what? Girard's a good guy. Great puck mover. I think he's going to be playing on the second line. We'll pull that up, like I said, when we look at the lineups tonight. Good exit guy. Smooth with the skating. And he signed through next year. So it's not like they're just getting him for this year. Everybody knew we were going to get rid of Kulak. The big knock on the Kulak trade was Kulak was playing great with Letang, and he seemed to make Letang play a lot better. I don't know. We don't know. All I know is Dubas with his trading has done fantastic things. So I say keep at it, Dubas, and so long, Brent Kulak. Hope you don't win a cup with Avalanche unless the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't there. Then I don't really care. What else happened? I think that's about it. Oh, the other thing they got was a second round pick in that trade. And right now, as it stands, in the next 4 years, the Pittsburgh Penguins have 34 draft picks, 20 in the first 3 rounds. And that's why he's stockpiling those picks. Clearly, he wants to go out and get more youth. And I think that's exactly what that trade was about. And they can afford it. And Girard's a good player. So let's see how he does tonight. Let's see who he plays with and how that's going to happen. So where did we last leave our Pittsburgh Penguins? Well, our Pittsburgh Penguins, the last time we saw them, they were winning 7 out of 9 games. So that ain't bad at all. We'll take that every time, right? And the Pittsburgh Penguins also, let me pull up my little spreadsheet here. The Pittsburgh Penguins were here. Let's share my screen. It'll just be easier this way. The Pittsburgh Penguins were right here. Okay. So the Pittsburgh Penguins were basically in the midst of a 6-game winning streak. Sorry about that. 6-game winning streak before the Olympics. Okay. You can see that the last one against Buffalo, their projected points here is 101 points. That's important. I'm not going to show standings because I personally don't like the standings because it's about how many points you score at the end of the year, which is going to get you in the playoffs. Typically, if you score over 95, 96 points, you're absolutely going to be in the playoffs. So I like to just project it out. Now, projections are difficult because you never know who's going to win and lose. But what you can do is you can see what they've done. So they were on a two-game losing streak after that. And the Penguins after that, they beat Buffalo. And now we got the Olympics. Here's the thing about what happens with the Pittsburgh Penguins schedule now. One of the hardest in the NHL, okay? So here's post-Olympics, right? Post-Olympics, let's look at and let's see what they got. So this is all going to be without Sidney Crosby, 100%. I did some projections here and what I think the results are. They're in the blue. You can see they play the Devils, Rangers, then they play the Knights. Then they're playing some Atlantic teams. Haven't played traditionally good against the Atlantic teams this year or the Western Conference teams. So that could be a problem. But, everybody's saying if they go 3-3 in the first 6, that's a good sign. And the reason it's a good sign is because you're not really losing any ground and you're basically going through 6 games. So if they do go 3-3, instead of projecting at 101 points, they're still projecting at 99 points right here. That is still going to be a winner. That's going to be a playoff berth. But here's the problem. When the Pittsburgh Penguins last kind of went back and forth, now this would be 3 losses in a row. They tend to do a little bit better after 3 losses in a row, or they meander. Like up here, look. They had 3 losses in a row up here earlier in the season. And then they kind of, won 1, lost 1. And then they went on a big win streak. They went on a 6-game win streak. So the team's a lot really streaky. I think there were only like 8 games of the of the 56 that they played where they went back and forth, won one, lost one. They're a real streaky team. They won 6 twice. They lost 8 in a row way back here, if you can remember, back in November, December. Lost 8 in a row. That was probably their worst thing. That's what they have to stop from doing. They can't lose 8 in a row. They can win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win 3, lose 2, lose 3, win 2. That's okay. That'll keep them in it for a while. And that's kind of what I have them doing. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a bad losing streak here because in that 8-game losing streak, all of them were to Western Conference and Atlantic teams, okay? And that's who they're not playing well against. So after these first 5-6 games, that's who they play. They play 12 games. And of those 12 games, and that's around the time Sid's due to be back, of those 12 games, 8 of them are either Western Conference teams or Atlantic teams. And that's going to be a problem for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And of the 4 that are left after that, 3 of them are versus the Carolina Hurricanes, number 1 in the Metro. So that's why they've got a murderer's row of a schedule coming up. Here's what I did. I just kind of sketched it out, what I think. I think that Sidney Crosby is going to be back somewhere here around Tampa Bay. This is game 76. This is April 2nd. So Sidney probably going to be back. I have them going 8-12. Now, I don't like the loser points. So, but we can throw in some loser points. If they go 8-12, they'll jump the whole way down to 93 points, which is out of a playoff spot most likely. But, however, if they get some of these losses to be overtime losses, they get some loser points in here, OTLs. Let's say they get 3 overtime. They're still losses, but they get a point. Now look at where they are. They're right there. They're right on the mark at 95 points. I think that's really important because if the Penguins can be around 92, the 94, 95 points, and Sidney Crosby comes back and they can get a jolt, they still got it tough. Look, they got to play Tampa. They got to play Florida twice. New Jersey probably going to be out by then. Washington, who knows? But they played pretty well against Washington back-to-back here. And then they end the season at St. Louis. If they even, I basically have them winning 4. They go 4-3. If they go 4-3, they're still going to be at 96. They'll probably do better than that, to be honest with you. So I think that's really important to look at the schedule. I know you can look at the standings all you want, but to me, I just don't like that. I just like to think about the points. I like to think about what the Pittsburgh Penguins can do and can't do. They got to stay away from long losing streaks. They got to keep that 2 wins, 2 losses, 3 wins, 2 losses. Even if they lose 4 in a row, come back and win 2 in a row. Maybe have one of those losses be an overtime loss, or they're getting a loser point out of it. That is going to be really important for the Pittsburgh Penguins if they're going to have a chance at staying in this playoffs while Sidney Crosby is out. The other thing they're going to have to figure out is what is their lineup going to look like? Who's going to play where? And I actually personally love the idea of Ben Kindle going up on the first line. Okay, I think that's really important. And so let's just do this right now. Let's just look at their lineup because otherwise my screen's going to freeze. So here's the projected lineup for tonight. And this is probably going to happen. This is probably what's going to happen. Avery Hayes is going to be on the first line. Rax is not necessarily a center. He clearly plays on the wing with Sid. That's going to be the big experiment for tonight. If you're going to watch the game tonight, and you should watch every Pittsburgh Penguins game, that's what you want to watch. Who's on the first line? What matchups are they getting defensively? Are they getting the number 1 defensive matchup, or are they sending the number 1 defensive matchup against the Malkin line? Chinnikov here had not been practicing for a while. He is practicing, and he is projected to play tonight. That's a big help for the Pittsburgh Penguins. They haven't changed their 3rd and 4th line. So Kindle's still going to be with Mantha and Brazeau. Lazat's going to be with Dewar and Achari. And they've been able to roll 4 lines pretty much the whole time. So the only major change is they bring up Avery Hayes. And you know what he did against Buffalo? He played pretty good in his first time up here, but he's going to be on the wing. I don't know what's going to happen. Here's the defensive pairings for tonight. You can see they have Sammy Gerard right here playing with Chris Letang. They're just plugging him right in the Kulak spot. That's probably the right thing to do. Wotherspoon and Carlson, they got to get that magic back. Carlson and Letang are going to have to move the puck a lot more with Crosby being out. And what they do with the puck, whether it's the human hand grenade, Carlson, or whether it's the smooth skating Carlson that can get good entries into the zone, that's going to probably be the difference between a good start and a bad start. Power play is really not that much change. You put Mantha up there instead of Crosby. Clearly, that's a negative on the power play. And the second power play remains the same. And the penalty kill pretty much remains the same. They got Connor Clifton in there. Okay, they got Clifton in there. That's no big deal. And to me, that's what's going to happen with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are going to have to find a way with all four lines to just make it happen. And basically, they got to stop the losing streaks before they get going. Because once you start going backwards like that, if they can get some, energy, that's what's going to take. That's all it's going to take, because you can't play this game without Sidney Crosby and replace him with one person. They're going to try it with Avery Hayes, but not really. They're not really going to do it with Avery Hayes because he's not the guy that's absolutely going to do it. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I hope you really enjoyed the hockey. The hockey's been great, and the hockey is back. It's going to be unbelievable. Back-to-back games, 17 games in the month of March alone. I don't know how I'm going to do it, to be honest with you. I'm going to be on vacation. I hear where I'm going to be. It's going to be some spotty Wi-Fi. I might have to bring in a relief pitcher here. I'm hoping the counselor might be able to fill in for me for some of these games. Either way, we'll figure it out together. And if you do want to figure it out together with me, smash that subscribe button, okay? I'm going to be here after every single Pittsburgh Penguins game, and I'm just going to give it like it is. I'm just a fan. I love to analyze the game because I got an engineering mind, and that's what I do here on the porch. Hey, I'll catch you later tonight. Go have some dinner with your wife and your family, and I'll meet you back here around 9:30. Until then, enjoy the game.